What's up, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes always deliver the big names. Lorenz Larkin's back on the show. Been covering him for over a decade. He's got a fight coming up against Levan Chokheli, and this fight takes place at the Pachanga Arena in San Diego on Saturday, September 7th. Lorenz, how you doing, my man?
Good. You could have left out the decade, man.
That's true. That's true. I just wanted everyone to know, like, we've been covering you for a long time,
Yeah.
seeing you outside the UFC, in the UFC, Strike Force, now Bellator. Like, it's been quite a ride. You're 37 years old, right? And I consider you one of the best welterweights for the last, like I said, decade. I see the name on this guy, and I'm like, okay, Bellator, PFL's turning the page, and I guess now it's time to use Lorenz's name and his status as the veteran to see what the young kids got. You see it the same way, like, because at one point I guess it was the opposite, right?
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? But I've always, when it comes to when the contracts get sent out, I'm always down for the young guys, that want to, step up and think they're gonna take out the old guy. That's the exact same way I felt, when I fought Berkhamov, So I mean, he was like, I don't know, he was like 14-0 or something like that. So I love it, man. I don't mind it. I'd rather that than they try to match me up with some two old guys, that's just like
Right. What is this fight? What do you have to gain from this fight other than the paycheck and you love competing? Have they told you, like, does this fight get you closer to the champ, I guess? Or do we all know that maybe by the end of the year they reshuffle the deck with Bellator and PFL athletes in terms of what they do with you guys?
Well, okay, to answer the first part, for me, it just shows me that I'm still in there. You know what I mean? If I'm competing with the young guys, I'm good. I'm good in this game. You know what I mean? I think it's, for me, it's when I can't compete with the young guys and I'm just have to look towards older veterans, they're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this then. I'm not here for sideshow fights, so for that part, that's why, these type of fights interest me, and it allows me to gauge myself where I'm at. And for the other part, I mean, not too long ago, I just found out this was a number one contender fight for the belt. So, and I found it out through a training partner. He's the one who told me. So
that this fight on the 7th is a number one contender fight.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I felt like Ramazan kind of came out of nowhere. He only had like 2 fights before he got the title shot. And a lot of the other guys have been punching the clock for a while. It seems like there's longer roads, and it's weird because you would think Bellator would want to feature the fighters that I guess are more well known to promote their brand.
That's why I've always just said, man, I'm never really concerned with fighting for the belt, man. Like, I'm not chasing the belt. I just, between rankings and all the other shit I've dealt with, it's just like, I just worry about the fights. Just keep me fighting. That's what I'm concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard, I guess I touched on this a second ago, but have you heard what 2025 does look like? Do you still remain a Bellator fighter, or will you now be PFL?
This is the last fight on my contract.
What do you want next?
I don't know. They haven't talked to me about renegotiating, so I'm just going to go out and get this W, and then we'll see from there.
Mm-hmm. But you're you, so you kind of should know what you want next, right?
Well, I mean, obviously obviously after the fight, they have their 90-day, of negotiations with them, and then, but I mean, again, to me, it's if you want to wait and see what somebody does, be so I say it like this. I look at things always from a different aspect. I just look at it like, you want to wait for me to fight to find out if you want to resign me, then I don't know. I don't know if I go out and then test the waters or not. It's almost like when I fought Berkimov. I always mess with Kogan. You guys know who Kogan is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always mess with Kogan because we signed that deal at my post weigh-in dinner. So so that's what, Friday. I fought Saturday, and we signed on Friday. And then I was just like, all right, cool. Like, that part is done. And then the next day I fought, and then it ended up how it ended up. And I, at the press conference, I just looked at him like, that was a smart move, dude. I would have beat you in the ass if you didn't.
Hey, Lorenz, so I'm curious, it's been kind of brought up a little bit, but like, where do you feel in your career? Because normally, if we look at the amount of fights you've had, where you've been before, you would say, okay, this is somebody that's maybe winding down. But honestly, watching you over the years, I don't think you've ever looked any better. Like, you don't seem to be slowing down to me. How do you
No,
feel?
man. I've been feeling good, man. My body's been looking better. I don't know, man. It's that Benjamin Button, maybe, man. I mean, I literally feel like I'm as far as body type, I'm filling out my body more, especially from the last fight. Like, how I looked at my last fight, as far as physique and how I felt. I feel like I'm getting better, So I don't know, I don't know if I'm just, training smarter or what, but I don't feel slow. I don't feel like I'm in there and I'm just like 2 clicks behind these younger guys, because I've been fighting younger guys, that's why I keep saying younger guys, but the last guy I fought was 27, and the guy before that, Berkimov, I don't know, he's a younger dude too. So, I don't feel like I'm slow out there, and I feel good still. So, I don't know. As long as I feel good, man, and I don't feel slow and like I don't belong there, then I'm just keep fighting. We'll see.
The elbow KO in LA, I was not that far away from the cage when you did that. And collectively, all of the air in the arena just went out because I think we all went at the same time. Okay. I guess what I want to ask you is, like, once you've done something like that, what's left on that bucket list of KOs or things to accomplish in the sport? Are there things you do in practice that we still haven't even known about that you might land one day in a fight the way you impressed us that night?
There's there's only one there's one move that I've tried before like a couple years ago, and I think I threw it one time in a fight, but the guy didn't come in how I thought he was going to come in. But if I ever land that kick, that will be we always call it the life changer. That's the life changer kick. So if I was ever able to land that, I think that would probably be like one of the coldest knockouts. I don't think it would stun somebody. I think it would literally knock them out cold. So I think, yeah, if I was ever able to, but it's not an easy kick.
Will you show us on George next time we see you? Like, behind closed doors, of course.
I'll try to find the clip where I found it, and then
Okay.
I'll send it together.
Hey, so overall, the major organizations that you've been a part of, in what way would you say they kind of stand out differently from each other?
I would say from, like, so you're just saying from the get-go, from like I'm just gonna piece in Strike Force with Bellator, right? Because it was kind of the same. That was more like a homie, not like a friend homie, but like a home. like a homie feel, more tight knit group, you know. So like you always see the familiars and things like that, and things were kind of a lot easier to do. And then then you go to UFC. UFC is just a well-oiled machine. It's just a fucking machine that doesn't stop, and that is a little bit more not so homey feeling, but it's just like more of just like it is like just so structured, and like it's not a bad thing, you know what I mean? It is just on the dot. There is no lapse, you start at 501, guaranteed you're going to start at 501. There is no like leeway in there. So with that, it was just like it's almost like going from like family company type feel to like straight corporate, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But it wasn't bad, it just as far as how it's run.
Sorry,
The
George.
other day,
I did have one more just to
yeah.
follow up on that. The reason I asked it was because you said that this is the last fight on your contract and you could possibly test free agency. Is there anything to like just wanting to be able to say you've been a part of just about every major organization? So like when you say that, are like the one championships of the world, or is everything out there on the table?
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as I look at it, like I've been blessed to not be forced into going to another. I wouldn't say be forced, because obviously, like when UFC bought Strike Force, like I was forced. Not like I didn't want to go, but I would say I didn't get fired, right? So I wasn't just out of a job and being like, oh, where do I go? So I've always been blessed with, when I was going to another place, it was on my terms, So I don't know. I mean, I've got to be I mean, I didn't fight for Risen, but I was a part of a promotion with Risen, So I don't know if that counts or not, fighting for fighting that, but I don't know, man. I think I pretty much hit all of them on the head, other than maybe one. Right? Is there another big one I don't know about?
No.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless we go backwards to Pride and Sengoku and all
Oh, yeah.
that stuff.
I wasn't even fighting then. I don't think.
You're fighting probably at the Castle Park in Riverside. That's where you're fighting at the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Golf and stuff, or whatever it's called. Hey, okay. Here's what I'm gonna follow up a little bit on what we've touched on. The other day, I was watching Shamil Musayev at PFL. They just wrapped up welterweights and featherweights. Did you happen to catch that?
No.
Okay. It was a Russian kid, undefeated. And in my mind, I was just going, whoa, that dude could be some trouble in the UFC. But he's at PFL. He still has one more before he wins the fights. But that's how my mind thinks, like, who could do what or whatever. But he really looked like he was pretty well rounded. He could wrestle, he could strike, all that. Do you ever watch fights like that and go, oh, I still got something for this guy? And more specifically, for example, Bilal Muhammad is the current champion of the weight class that you reside in. Did you watch his fight? And do you say, oh, I got something for him, or any of the other UFC guys that are at the top now, because you've been gone for a while?
No, for sure, man. Like I watched. There's. I haven't watched a fight, especially in my weight class, and I'm just like, oh, like I got nothing for that guy. So, and I'm not trying to like toot my horn or nothing. No, I'm just saying, like, there hasn't been like I haven't seen a guy where I'm just like, dude, that guy is just on a whole another level. Like I haven't seen that yet. As far as the welterweight class,
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's something to consider. I mean, you've beaten guys that have worn major belts, over at Strikeforce, Bellator, and UFC. So I would imagine that if you're as exciting as you've kept it the last few years, there hasn't really been a drop off. When you do enter free agency, you might have yourself some options.
No, for sure, man. I mean, I don't think I've been looking bad out there, and I show up. I haven't been, I haven't pulled out of nothing. I've showed that. When I sign a contract, I show up to the fight. You know what I mean? And it hasn't been that good for me on the other parts because I've had guys pull out or get injured and stuff like that, trying to make an appearance. But I'm still that old, I guess, that old era where you give me the contract, I don't duck, I don't try to finesse my way to where it's easy for me. Like, I've always showed up and fought since day one. It hasn't changed, and I've always accepted. I mean, that to me, if I was a promotion, that's the guy I want. I don't want the guy who just talks a lot and then gets in there and then gets booted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. You'll be 38 next week, and you like to fight often, but what about the PFL schedule? Do you like 4 fights from April to November? Is that too much, or could you handle that if that became an option for next year?
No, man, I could handle it. It just, I never had the opportunity to, fight more than 2 times a year. So, I'm game. I'm always game for being active. For me, I mean, what do we do this for? We do it for money, right? So the more times I fight, the more money I get.
Do you how good do you know Mike Hogan? Like, would you tell him, bro, why do we always wait till the end to re-sign me? Like, what's happening here? Like, is that I mean, do other athletes, your other teammates have it that way too, or is this more specifically just happened with you?
I don't know how they deal with other guys, man. I don't know. I try to stay out of it. Yeah, I just try to stay out of it. Me and Kogan are good sometimes, and then me and Kogan aren't good sometimes. So
got it.
I don't know. Maybe they got some type of strategy. I don't know. We'll see.
Last question is: there's a lot of other combat sports nowadays. There's bare knuckle. There's karate combat, and I'm specifically talking about the ones where it's more of striking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Notice I didn't say Abu Dhabi or nothing like that, because you love to strike and you're really fantastic at it. Would those ever be options, or do you still feel like MMA is where you want to be?
Bare knuckle, never. I would never do that. And I mean, I still want to box. I started out boxing. I was boxing before I even got into MMA, but just never had the opportunity to do it professionally. I just did it amateur. So I would love to get my hands on a fucking YouTuber influencer. Dude. I would love it, dude. Or even like when I went to the fights at the Honda Center, man, and I seen even when Pettis and that is it his name Avila?
Yeah.
I seen their boxing match, man, and I was just like, fuck, dude. Please give me let them fight the old guys. Like let them fight me, dude. Give them an easy payday on me.
Would you want to fight another MMA guy over a YouTube influencer, or do you prefer the YouTube influencer first?
Either or, man. Either or. It doesn't matter to me.
Do we even have to say his name? Is it Jake Paul, or is there another guy that
Well, first off, I don't even know if he's in my weight class because when he fought Perry, man, that shit. I wish I could see their contract weight because there was some fishy shit going on with that because they were not close to weight whatsoever. Oh, Jake Paul's weight was not close to Perry's weight whatsoever. Right. So I don't know how they worked that out on their part, but yeah.
First things
Yeah.
first, fight that number one contender fight next week. Let's see how that goes. Let's see what the future of Bellator is. We really don't know. We just
Yeah.
kind of assume that following this season, everyone's part of the PFL, and then we don't even know if the PFL is going to continue with these season-long tournaments. And I mean, now they have a more of a stacked roster where they could just have an arena series and not have to do regular season and playoffs anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, I do like what they're doing there. I do like the company, and I do like that they're like I love when they did the champ versus champ thing. I think that well, with saying that they were double dipping, right? Because they own both companies, so it wasn't like a big hit to them to take that risk. But it's still in general, just to make that fight for fight fans, which is you guys know, man, that's such a fucking hard thing to do, and I don't think enough people appreciate that, right? Because how many promotions would do that?
Right.
Put their champ versus champ to show, you know what I mean? Like, there's not too many promotions that are going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So just for them throwing up stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure in the future, with the other big fights, they are making big fights happen, so I do like that. And they are making things exciting.
Lorenz, I did want to ask you one more. It just hit me. In your mind, who are the best 3 welterweights in the world, regardless of promotion?
Best welterweights in the world.
You don't even have to put them in order if you don't want. Just give me the 3 best welterweights in the world.
Shit, man.
Is it hard to figure out who the 3 are or who's going to be left out?
I'm trying to think because I'm trying to go off of Rain, man. That's what, like, to me, I think, like, man.
I bet you wish we asked you how your weight's doing now, right?
I know, right? Oh, you couldn't just give me fighters, man. Damn. I think I'll put George in the mix.
Not of all time. I'm saying now.
Oh, now.
The best 3 welterweights on the planet right now. Who are they?
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say I will say. I mean, I guess I could go champions, right? Because they're at the top. I don't know, man, because I don't know. I look at it like, is there anybody else like that fighter? You know what I mean? So, like, when I look at like greatest of all time, or like pound for pound guys that I highly respect, I'm like, is there anybody else like that? And guys that have, like, cleared out their division? Because that's how I look at it. Like for instance, Jones, right? I respect Jones, and I think he's the greatest fighter of all time because he has cleaned out his division multiple times. And that's why I say stuff like that, or a Mighty Mouse, where he has cleaned out a division, and he's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody who's really just been on a straight terror. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you gave it a shot, and that's all we asked. I wanted your mind to think, just like, you know what? I can kick a lot of these asses, so I'm going to include myself and then give us another 2. But it seems like you feel that way. Like, you can kick anyone who's 170 pounds if they want it. You'll kick their ass, whether they're in the PFL, Bellator, or UFC. At least it looks like you feel that way.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm not this guy who's just been in one promotion. You know what I mean? So I've been there, and I've caught dubs on multiple guys. So, and I didn't leave because, I woke up one morning and looked on YouTube, and then I looked at my name on the roster removed section, so, I left because I wanted to leave. And so when I see these guys, it gets frustrating a little bit when I see these guys come. Like, I think I could smack these guys a little bit, but
Yeah. All right, folks. It all goes down on September 7th out in San Diego. It's called the Pachanga Arena, and it's the Bellator Champions Series. So on this particular card, Usman Nurmagomedov, the lightweight champ, will defend against Alexander Shabali. And if you're a hardcore, you'll realize these guys are also the two finalists from the Grand Prix that they started out earlier this year. I don't know if anyone's getting a milli, but someone's walking away with a belt. And in the co-main is Lorenz Larkin against Levan Chokheli. Lorenz delivers highlight reel KOs, so you definitely want to tune in. The fights can be seen on Max, which is the former HBO station. All right, thanks, Lorenz, for the time as always. It's always great catching up with you.
Thank you, guys. And shout out to MMA, to Junkie Nation. Can't stop without saying that.
Right on, bro. Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care.
See ya.